JJK chapter 221, and Gege has given us one of the most anticipated chapters of the year. As most of you know by now, I'm sure, Gojo has been released from the prison realm and now he wants all the smoke. I can't even really put into words how hyped and excited I was just reading this chapter. Regardless, thanks to TCB Scans for the scans and translations, the chapter starts and it says, time to let Gojo loose. But before that, and we see Yuji, Takaba, and Angel, or Hana rather, sitting with the back of the prison realm and they are talking about releasing Gojo. We then see Angel asking Yuji and Takaba if they are planning on releasing the seal inside. And then she continues with, it is said that time does not flow within the prison realm, therefore whatever is trapped inside will not die due to starvation or old age. The prisoner will live indefinitely so long as they do not end their own life. We then see Hikari, with both arms by the way, comments on how it kind of sounds like you can just use it as a time machine. But then Angel goes on to explain that because there's no concept of physical time, it's pretty much impossible for us to know how Gojo perceived the last 19 days, explaining that it could have felt like a blink of an eye or 100 years. Okay, so it's kind of interesting that they bring this up because back in Shibuya when Gojo was initially sealed, a lot of people actually questioned whether or not that would affect Gojo. So it's kind of good to just see them talking about possibilities as well. Getting back to the chapter though, we see Hana talking about how she's worried about Gojo's mental state as Shoko walks up, explaining that if Gojo is in a bad mental state, then undoing the seal in a narrow space is pretty dangerous. And I just like how Gege drew their imagination of Gojo, like it just like you can never go bad with just a little comedy relief. Anyway, they then decide to go to a Jujutsu High training ground in Saitama Prefecture, and once again it's just comedy. We have Takaba running away from the box, everyone just hiding behind cover waiting for Hana. Then Inumaki gives the signal, at which point Hana activates Jacob's ladder. And I don't know about you guys, but just looking at Hikari's reaction, Shoko's and Takaba's reaction, like this chapter was way funnier than it should have been. Anyway though, we then see the cast running to the box, at which it's revealed that it's just disappeared. And we see Yuji ask, did he disappear along with the prison realm, as Hana's just in the background like hyperventilating at this point. And Takaba says, and thus, yet another useless piece of trivia is known to the world. Like, even in a serious moment, you can count on Takaba to just make some kind of like joke or something. Anyways, we then see Hana using Kopu no Jutsu, saying she might have just erased him because Gojo just might have been evil. The ground then starts to shake as an earthquake erupts, and Yuji says, this can't be a coincidence. As it switches perspective to Kenjaku, he explains how he placed the prisoner realm at the subduction zone, 8,000 meters below the surface, as well as placing cursed spirits to act as sensors. We then see Kenjaku himself as he explains that Tengen had told him about this, and in theory this would mean that even if the seal was broken, Gojo would still perish. But it doesn't matter, as we see Gojo Satoru himself out of the prison realm face to face with Kenjaku. Okay, so this is the moment that everyone's been waiting for. Gojo is finally released, and not only that, but he is face to face with Kenjaku. Now I know some people may be wondering, just like Kenjaku, how did he get out of there? But he's him. Like, this is Gojo we're talking about. No, all jokes aside though, that actually is a good question, because we know that Kenjaku is pretty careful and meticulous, so it kind of does beg to question how did Gojo get out of there. But anyways, moving on, Kenjaku says, it's been a long time since you were truly able to relax. How was it? And Gojo just says, hey, you should choose your words more carefully. After all, they will be your last. At which point, Gojo then releases Lapse Blue, sending it towards Kenjaku. And it's kind of hard to tell whether Kenjaku moved out of the way or even used like the anti-gravity technique. Regardless though, we then see Kenjaku looks up as Sukuna joins the battle. Okay, at this point, I'm pretty much just jumping out of my chair. Not only do we get to see Gojo release, but we also get to see Gojo and Sukuna's interaction. Gojo says, you've changed quite a bit since the last time I saw you, Megami. And Sukuna's response is, do you still remember? As we get a flashback to chapter 3 when Sukuna said to Gojo, after I take this brass body for myself, you'll be the first person I kill. He then goes on to say, well, in the end, this brass body was the one I took over, but I'll still kill you. Now, this is kind of interesting because, interaction aside, it kind of just looks like Sukuna is protecting Kenjaku. Anyways though, Gojo claps back and says, you, a loser that had to run away from Yuji, coming with your tail between your legs is pretty pathetic. quick. Urame then gets mad, then goes to attack Gojo, getting absolutely packed up. Like, I don't know what made Urame think that she could just attack Gojo, but yeah, Gojo just sends them flying. And what's pretty cool is you can actually see the blood going around Gojo, around his infinity. Anyways though, Sukuna moves out of the way, and then Kenjaku comes and says, Sukuna, wait, before you fight him, you have to make good on your promise with me. To which we then see Gojo just mocking both of them, but then we get to see what Gojo's thinking about. And he says, well, on my end, I also have some things to take care of before fighting Sukuna, and I came all this way to give Suguru's body a proper burial. But who would have thought Sukuna got so close to the person inhabiting him? It's probably a binding vow. Okay, so this is actually really interesting because I'm sure most of us knew something was going on between Kenjaku and Sukuna, but I don't think a lot of us thought it was as detailed as something like a binding vow. In fact, I'm sure a lot of you thought, just like myself, that one of these gods were going to betray the other, which could definitely still happen, but it just goes to show, like, what is Kenjaku actually planning? And what's also interesting is Gojo says, I came all this way to give Suguru's body a proper burial. Now, I don't know, it could just be the scans, but when he says it like this, it kind of sounds like he did appear next to the cast and just teleported to where Kenjaku was. I don't know, I just think it's something that we should keep in mind. Getting back to the chapter though, Sukuna, still staring at Gojo, responds to Kenjaku saying, that's fine with me. We then see Sukuna thinking about what Yorozu told him as she was dying, when she was telling Sukuna that she was going to be the one to teach him about love, which is kind of odd that Gege actually put this in here, almost going to say that Gojo's going to be that person. Moving on though, Sukuna says that's fine with me. Gojo then questions what day it is, as Kenjaku replies November 19th, meaning that Gojo has been sealed for 19 days in verse time. Moving on, Gojo then says, how about we do this on the 24th of December, as Kenjaku, the same person that has Geto's memories, says, how romantic, having a date with you on Christmas Eve gives me the creeps, obviously referring to the night parade of 100 demons and Geto's death. And Gojo just replies, having 2 death anniversaries will make things complicated, no? And Kenjaku just asks Gojo if he thinks he can win. We then see another flashback to chapter 3 when Yuji asked Gojo who's stronger, him or Sukuna, and Gojo's reply was, if Sukuna regained his full strength, then it'd be a tad difficult. And then Yuji said, would you lose? Cut back to present day, and Gojo's answer remains the same. He says, I will win. End of chapter. Wow, so again, this chapter was just insane, man. Like, I can't even put into words. Like, I almost didn't even make a review just because I didn't know how to put this into words. But seeing Gojo back after 3 years, man, like, dude, this is exactly what peak fiction looks like. Like, if anybody wants to know, this is exactly what it looks like. And there's still so many questions, so many answers. It's just so much going on right now, but JJK will be on a 2-week break. So yeah, hopefully Gege can enjoy the break. I honestly was expecting a break sooner, but I actually think this way is a lot better. This way Gege can just take a 2-week break and come back and give us some more heat. And also huge shout out to How Long in the Box for keeping us informed on Gojo's prison realm sentence. Go and enjoy your retirement. You definitely deserve it. Anyways though, jokes aside, that's all from me. Let me know in the comments below what you think of the chapter. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you give it a like on the way out, and subscribe if you like this kind of content, and I will see you guys for the next review. Peace out.